Your house is worth whatever it's worth, right? Whoever sells it. Wrong. I'm Charlie. Welcome to Moving Home with Charlie, and thank you for coming.
Charlie Landing grew up in Sussex, is the founder of Best Agent and presenter of Moving Home with Charlie.
If you want to find one of these guys, look out for those compassionate professionals. All estate agents are not the same.
So Charlie, what would be your advice for people interested in buying new builds right now?
Don't overpay. Do buy, but don't overpay. That's why I say disregard the guff. Read into the numbers and look, and it's buried. The bad news is buried in the small print, okay?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Property Press Awards.
They may or may not be telling the truth, but you should form your own view. Get out and view, get out and view, get out and view. You cannot be in a position to make offers and have the offers accepted if you're not viewing. Just be out there viewing. Pay attention to the back of the class. If you've not been watching my videos, I did one just a couple of days ago. Disregard the guff, guys. I don't know what your day's been like, but that's really good. My day's been good. It's been a longish day, but this video, I'm just trying to contain myself and gather myself and try to be professional and calm about this and try and make a point that rather than me ranting and raving about it, it comes across in a calm and professional manner. Earlier this week, Panorama published its latest episode called The Race to Build 1.5 Million Homes. And in a minute, I'm going to play you the opening 90 seconds or so of that clip. Because the opening 90 seconds of that Panorama clip, for me, encapsulate the giant myth and problem that most people are unaware of. And the simple myth is this. The myth is that the solution to the housing crisis is to build more houses. That is a lie. It is a perpetuated lie designed to keep us borrowing money to buy new builds from private companies. The solution to the housing crisis does involve building an awful lot of homes, but specifically it involves building social homes or council homes, government-owned accommodation to meet government housing obligations so that the government doesn't rely on the private sector to meet its housing obligations and therefore doesn't have to pay private sector prices using taxpayers' money to meet housing obligations. And the second myth, to back up the first one that needs to be smashed, right? The myth that house building solves the problem. It doesn't, right? What's happened in London just today, what Sadiq Khan has announced or is announcing today, proves the point that house building doesn't solve the housing crisis. Is this notion that there aren't enough homes when there are, and I will show you on screen the link to the government website that shows that there are 1.5 million unoccupied dwellings. Let's just begin with me playing you this clip from Panorama. I've put a link in the description below for those of you who want to watch the whole episode. And there are parts of the episode which are quite interesting, especially the interview with the Liverpool Council planning lady, that you really feel for her. You see a clip of her in the opening clip here. That's quite interesting. It really just shows you the true scale of bureaucracy involved in planning. And it shows the most ridiculous thing where there are councils rejecting planning applications for their own house building. Riddle me that. Anyway, let's just watch this. I hope you can hear it.
Britain is in a housing crisis.
Can you hear it?
I complained about the rent going up. They said if I didn't, I'd be evicted.
With rents and house prices so high, many people can't afford a place to live.
There is so much to cover that it's completely overwhelming.
For decades, Britain has simply not built enough homes.
For decades, Britain has simply not built enough homes. Stated as if it is undisputable, unverifiable fact. Straight away, whether they are aware that's wrong and they're gaslighting, or whether they genuinely believe it, it's not true. Right? That's the first, right in the opening few seconds, a statement that's not true. Let's just go back 10 seconds, hear that again, right?
Can't afford a place to live.
There is so much to cover that it's completely overwhelming.
For decades, Britain has simply not built enough homes.
Wrong. That is a false statement. Okay? I know this sounds like it might twist your brain, but just let me explain. Let me explain when I get through this.
We are so deep in this crisis, it's really difficult to articulate how deep we are.
That is Dr. Abby O'Connor, who I've been in touch with today because she's the only guest in this episode of Panorama that makes any sense, and she's agreed to appear on the channel. And I'm very much looking forward to having her on to discuss that.
The government says it's tackling the problem.
Today we launch a new plan to get Britain building again. It's time to build 1.5 million new homes across the country.
I'm just checking, guys. You can hear, can't you? Yes, you can hear. Cool. Right. Not much more.
I'm Justin Rolat.
This isn't really what I was expecting. I was expecting, cocktails on the lawn. This place is huge.
And I'm Anita Rani.
I'm gonna just take a step back. Andy, no.
We've been travelling across England.
Now, the average house price here is 10 times the average local wage.
To uncover some of the challenges to building 1.5 million homes.
We all know you're not supposed to build on the green belt, but what actually is the green belt?
Do you ever just want to throw your hands up and say, what's the point?
Hitting the target will need a level of house building we haven't achieved for decades.
Yeah, our generation, they want things handed to them. Unfortunately, this is hard work.
So can it be done?
We are going to build, baby, build, because that is the only way we tackle the housing crisis that we're facing in this country.
Let's just listen to that again.
This is hard work.
So can it be done?
We are going to build, baby, build, because that is the only way we tackle the housing crisis that we're facing in this country.
Okay, that's Steve Reed, who replaced Angela Rayner as housing minister. And he's perpetuating this myth. And I don't know whether he believes it or knows it's not true. But if what I'm saying doesn't make any sense, please ask me in the live chat right now. Give me the question, okay? I'm not accused. I make no... I'm not going to guess about whether or not they know this or they don't know this, whether this is what they genuinely believe or whether they know it's not true. Okay, and I want to explain to you. So first of all, where am I coming from in this? My whole mission, my career, is devoted to my mission of a home for everyone. I am a politically neutral person when it comes to housing because I am absolutely sick to the back teeth of every single government we've ever had making false promises about housing, lying about it, and then not delivering anything. I don't mean, I'm not talking about not delivering enough new homes. They never have, but that's not what I think the problem is. They've never delivered a resolution to the social housing crisis. They've never delivered a resolution to the affordable housing crisis, and none of them have made any dent in homelessness. And that's why I'm frustrated with all of them, and that's why I'm politically neutral. So I'm only interested in what are practical solutions to this problem. Now, it is a salient fact that the house building industry is the largest donor to all political parties. The house building industry gives the political parties more money than even the banking sector, the financial services sector does. Let that sink in. Even more money than the banking sector gets donated by house builders to all political parties. Okay, and why would that be? Well, the government has repeatedly rolled out policies that favor the house builders. Okay, and what do the house builders want more than anything else? They want very high prices. Now, you could argue that the government has not helped house builders on the planning side. That's definitely true. That is a separate problem. The problem in the planning system is a problem of bureaucracy that we have throughout government. It's not exclusive to the house building industry. It's not exclusive to planning permission. Sorry, I've been distracted by your comments. I have to hide your comments. Now, let me quickly show you the other screen. For those of you who go, but there aren't enough houses. For those of you who believe, and this is, of course, the implication. What they're saying is the reason that house prices are so high is because there aren't enough houses, because it's supply and demand. That's the lie. That is the lie. Okay? House prices are manipulated by government and by house builders, even by HMRC, that's part of government, as well as by portals, Rightmove in particular, and estate agents. Okay? Why? Because the house building companies are very large clients of lots. I mean, the house building companies provide a lot of customers to the mortgage lenders. The house building companies pay Zoopla and Rightmove very large amounts of money, and the house builders pay the government very large amounts of money, or the political parties, let's say. And they lobby for and get policies like Help to Buy, where the taxpayer was actually lending home buyers 20% of the price of new builds. But in London, it was even 40% of the price of new builds. And to anyone who understands economics, finances, and maths, it was very clear that that was kicking the can down the road and it would come home to roost, as it's coming home to roost now. If there weren't enough homes in London, there wouldn't be tens of thousands of homes, new homes sitting unsold, number one. And number two, there wouldn't be 228,000 planning applications granted where permission to start building has been granted and they've decided not to build them. Why have they decided not to build them? Because the buyers aren't buying them, which is why new house build sales in London have fallen to such a catastrophic low that at 4 o'clock this afternoon, Bloomberg reported an emergency announcement about London house building. We don't know the exact details yet. Right? 5:30 this afternoon. UK to announce emergency measures. Right? If it was simply a case of not enough houses, then this problem wouldn't exist. Yes, it's also a problem that they're too expensive. I get that. But I promise you, the house builders being affected by this would rather be selling even at a discount than not selling at all. They're not holding on, waiting for a higher price because they know they're not going to get it, especially with this situation in the economy. So for those of you going, but hang on, Charlie, there definitely aren't enough houses. There are places where there are shortages of affordable housing. There are plenty of places, mostly in cities, where there are not enough affordable. There are homes, they're just not affordable. Okay? And there are lots of reasons behind that, but it's not because there aren't enough. The way that house builders manipulate prices is that they don't report the sold price for up to 2 years. So in other words, they're able to charge some gullible buyers top whack, the kind of buyers who walk into the sales office of a new build site and go, "Hi, we want to buy a new house." And they go, "All right, great. There's the price. That's what we have to pay. Oh, can we get a discount off that?" "Nope, sorry, that's the price." "Oh, okay. We'll just sign up and pay then," right? So they want to make sure that they can stitch up those gullible buyers whenever they can. And when the more savvy buyers come in and go, listen, son, I'm not paying sticker price. You're going to be taking some money off that price, and you're going to be putting an extra kitchen in, and you're going to be giving me a free whatever. And savvy buyers and experienced negotiators will negotiate better deals on prices, but they don't want you to know that. And so that's why they don't publish their prices, because otherwise the neighbors will get to see what each other are paid. And by the time it's 2 years down the road, everyone's forgotten and nobody cares. Okay, this is why the government, although it has access to house prices, purchase prices from 2 weeks ago, including new builds, because you have to declare for stamp duty purposes what you paid. So all conveyancers, as part of the routine that they perform for every single housing transaction, the conveyancer reports the transaction with all the details of the transaction, the address and the price to HMRC, along with the stamp duty payment if they're making that as well. So this is where the government is complicit in the cover-up, because the government, A, doesn't let HMRC publish house prices from 2 weeks ago, so there's no transparency of house pricing. And B, when they publish the ONS house price figures like they did today, it's an open lie that anyone who wants to check it can check, right? The percentage house price growth figure that's quoted is, if you want to go and check it, it is manipulated by comparing an unrevised figure from the most recent month of a very small sample with a heavily revised down figure from a year ago of a much larger sample. Okay, so they're not comparing apples with apples, and there is a consistent revision down after they've announced these house price growth, which is why today we've got, and this is off the top of my head, right? Halifax saying house prices are up 2.2. Oh, no. Nationwide saying they're 2.2% up on the year. Halifax saying 1.4%, 1.3, Zoop saying 1.4. So they're all like 2, 1, 1. And even Rightmove is saying year on year house prices are actually falling very slightly. ONS comes out with 3%. Everyone believes it. The people who are just the headline glancers, who never do any research into house prices, go, oh, well, it's the ONS. It's official, isn't it? That's actual prices from the land registry, so it must be true. No, it's not. They use some prices from the land registry, but they then put it through a calculation process to do mix adjusting and weighting and all kinds of stuff, and creating this fictional average house that doesn't exist. And there's no transparency to how they calculate that figure. But we do know, and it is transparent, that they revise the figure down, 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 down every single month for over a year. Down, diddly, down, down, down it goes. Okay? And that is transparent, but it's not reported. The press doesn't report on this. So this is how the government is complicit in manipulating house prices. Okay? It doesn't publish stamp duty prices, and the ONS figures are heavily manipulated, and they know it. They watch this channel. They know I know. But the media, with one exception, the Telegraph did report on this, did a story. Nobody else picked it up. Shh, no. Don't piss off the house builders, because they're really big advertisers and they don't want us writing about that in our newspapers. So shh. Okay. So house builders pay newspapers money for advertising them. So they don't want them talking about this. Because if the truth came out and there was transparency on pricing, people would stop overpaying for houses, for new houses. That would affect house builder profits. That would affect their ability to pay for their Rightmove subscription, because house builders pay Rightmove a large amount of money, and their advertising and the government donations that they give. Well, that's been going on for a long, long time. Okay. But the train has left the tracks. The new house building industry has derailed itself, especially in London. There are still places building in places, and there's still places where they're selling, and there are parts of the country where new builds are okay. But costs are still rising, but there is an increasing number of unsold homes, and there's now an increasing number of second-hand unsold homes. In fact, it's a record highest amount of unsold property on the market for 10 or 11 years now. Okay, so there is this huge supply of unsold homes. There are enough homes, they're just not cheap enough, or wages aren't high enough. That's actually the real problem. Okay, and yes, wage growth is now slightly higher than house price growth. Not if you take into account inflation, but we'll leave that to one side for now. Okay, so fact number one, right? There are enough houses. Okay, this is a myth to perpetuate the propping up of the house building industry. Now, I've got nothing against the house building industry, by the way. They're doing what all businesses would do, which is everything in their power to promote their product and sell as many as they can. And it's an important industry. They should be building houses for people who do want them, and where they are really needed, and where there is a real market for them and people can pay a fair price for those houses. Absolutely. But the thing that's never ever talked about in the press is this other fact. Okay. Hang on a second. So this is data from the 2021 census. They do a census every 10 years. And this is on, again, I've linked to this below. And for those of you who want to get to it faster, I will put it in the live chat for you right now. March 2021, on census day, there were 1.5 million unoccupied dwellings. And that's just in England and Wales. That's excluding Scotland and Northern Ireland, where there are more. Now, I'm not saying that all of these homes are instantly available to solve the housing crisis. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that in the locations where there is an actual shortage, which is in a certain number of highly localized locations, there are things that can be done, there are levers that can be pulled by the government that would encourage the owners of some of these 1.5 million unoccupied dwellings to release them back to the market. And I'm fascinated to see what's happened to that number when we get to 2031. All right, but that was 6% of all dwellings in England and 8% in Wales. It's going to vary enormously, okay? But that's a lot of unoccupied stuff. And there's a long list of reasons why places can be unoccupied. In fact, we can run through it. I've got it here. This is the way they calculate. The ONS calculates it, right? Is the dwelling occupied? Then yes, it's an occupied dwelling. If it's not occupied, but the census respondent stays at the address for more than 30 days a year, then it's a second home with no usual residence. Okay. If it has a census response confirming the address is vacant, then it's truly vacant dwelling. If it has a housing association provided details of the property being vacant, then it's a truly vacant dwelling. Has a field visit for non-responding households indicating holiday accommodation or second residence, second home with no usual residence. So it includes some second homes. Is there a council tax exemption, discount, or premium code? Allocate to truly vacant or second home with no usual residence based on local authority. Does utilities data indicate the property is unoccupied or de-energized? Then it's a truly vacant dwelling. Has a field visit indicated vacant? Yes, it's a truly vacant dwelling. Remaining records assigned through a statistical model. Okay, so this is how they work it out. And there isn't a national silver bullet solution to this. All right. Housing crises are highly localized. There are places that have no housing crisis at all, and there are places that have an acute housing crisis. And it's local government that needs to sort that out. And of course, building is a part of that. But building 1.5 million, just creating this stupid, arbitrary, round number target to get yourself elected, which we all fell for and voted them in on. I mean, this was the central pledge in their manifesto. What annoys me about the fact they're not going to hit it isn't that I think it would have solved the problem, because it won't. It's a number of things. It's a false lie used to trick us into voting for them. It demonstrates a lack of understanding of what's needed to actually solve the housing crisis. And it also demonstrates a lack of understanding of how the new house building industry works. I don't think I've ever known a government of less informed people in its cabinet. And Steve Reed goes on in the Panorama interview to say, when the Prime Minister asked me to take this job, he gave me the 1.5 million home target, and I accepted it. And if you watch the other people talking it in Panorama, they explain why it's just not possible. And Alex will be back on this channel at some point, Stig, who has detailed internal knowledge of the system and can explain in straightforward mathematical terms why it is not possible to do this. It just isn't possible to do it. And I mean, I suppose, why am I doing this? Because I just want everyone to wake up and stop thinking that house building is the answer to the social housing crisis. One of the big reasons why both house prices and rents are so high. I've just explained why house prices are so high, but this problem of not enough social homes is also what causes rents to be so high. And this is before we even get into the Section 21 of the Renters' Rights Bill, which just passed its final hurdle today. There's just so much news happening. It's all bad news for the housing market. So much news happening, and it's just all bad. if the government, right now, when a landlord is forced to sell up because they've had so many taxes and expenses and that it's no longer viable for them, they're doing it at a loss, they can't afford the mortgage payment, whatever it might be. And there's no sympathy here, right? But when landlords are forced to sell up, as very large numbers of them are now doing, some of those properties are bought by other landlords, and hopefully with the tenant still in place and the tenant doesn't get affected. But, and this is relevant to the house prices and the whole house building, right? When a landlord has to evict their tenant in order to sell their property, a proportion of those tenants cannot find another home, either because there simply aren't any or because they're too expensive. And so they go to the council and say, I'm now homeless because my landlord sold up. That is officially the number one cause of new homelessness, as it's stated on the government's website. Hold on a second. I will dig it out. Here it is. Okay. This is from the most recent. Yep. The most common recorded reason, this is on the Gov UK website, the most common recorded reason households were owed a homelessness prevention duty was due to the end of an assured short-hold tenancy, was the landlord wishing to sell. All right. Number one, never talked about, never mentioned in the media, by the BBC, never mentioned by the housing campaigners. It's just like the dirty, awkward secret that none of them want to admit is happening because of the anti-landlord policies that are happening. I am not pro-landlord, I'm pro-housing, okay? And if you want to rent a home, which many people do, what's happening? Why have I got... Oh, Alex wants to join. I will send you the link, Alex. Hang on a second. How exciting. If I send it to you on your phone, you can make me email it to you. Sorry, guys, 1 second. Alex told me he couldn't join this evening. He's changed his mind. That's fantastic. I need to send him the link so he can join. Here comes Stiggy. And there we are. That's sent. You should have it in your inbox now. So where I was going with this is that the tenant that the council ends up having to find a home for, because they don't have enough social housing, they are required to then go and look for private rented accommodation to pay a landlord to house this tenant, this homeless tenant. And of course, those either. So the next thing they do when they can't rent a private rented property to house this homeless tenant is they then have to go and spend council tax money, so our taxpayers' money, on paying a hotel or a bed and breakfast to house the homeless tenant. So in other words, in the scenario where this happens, right, landlord has been forced to sell up by government policies making it no longer viable. Tenant cannot find a home through no fault of their own. They're employed, they've paid their rent up to date, they're a good tenant, but they're being evicted because the landlord's been forced to sell by the government, right? They can't find a home, they can't afford to rent a home, they go to the council says, okay, we owe you a homelessness prevention duty, we're now going to pay for a hotel or a bed and breakfast for you. And the taxpayer is picking up the bill. And this is happening at a record level. This is happening because there aren't enough social homes. And that's one of the things that's pushing private rents up. Okay. So rent caps don't solve that problem. Rent caps would make that problem worse. Why? Because it would make even more landlords sell up. And again, leaving to one side whether or not there should or shouldn't be landlords, there are people who require a property to rent at the moment. And for that, they need a landlord. Yes, I don't care. Small landlord, big landlord, doesn't matter. But what's happening now is causing a spike in homelessness, is causing rents to go up in the worst affected areas. So yeah, it's all a big myth. And I'm guys, as you can see, Alex is here.
Hello, guys.
I'm really worried I've been saying something wrong. He's here to tell me, no, Charlie.
No, everything you've been saying in the 5 minutes that I've been lurking is absolutely spot on.
So I played the panorama clip at the beginning, and It's just, we've got to bust this myth, Alex. We've got to bust
Well,
the
the
myth.
building new homes is going to suddenly drop prices.
The building homes is going to solve the housing crisis.
No, well,
Private building of homes. So it is social. I know you and I have discussed the fact that they can't build enough social homes anyway. That may well be the case. But the point is, whatever resources and efforts the government wants to put into building houses, it should be 100% focused on social house building, which can mostly be done on brownfield sites. Doesn't need green belt. Because most social housing is required in cities, isn't it?
Well, Charlie, I mean, yes, you're right. Sorry, it should be done on brownfield sites. The problem that we've got is because of all of the sustainability targets that we have to meet, demolishing anything these days is very hard to do. There's almost no, you have to repurpose buildings, you have to reuse buildings. And as we know, office buildings cannot become houses because their footprint is too deep and you end up with places that are just dark, they have no light. So,
I'm not saying all brownfield sites are suitable, but there are some.
Well, fewer than you would think.
Okay.
Honestly, fewer than you'd imagine.
All right. I know that there are very many very real obstacles to building on brownfield sites.
Well, just like the government have said they're going to build in railway yards. No, you're not, because the ground contamination is horrendous there. The cost to build, no private developer is going to take on railway yards that have been left abandoned for years, because people have tried that in the past, and they have asbestos, they have heavy metals. You spend so much money decontaminating the ground that there is no profit in it.
Yeah.
In the same way that because of the sustainability targets and BNG, biodiversity net gain, that you have to achieve because of planning. So every time you rebuild something, you have to increase the biodiversity in that habitat, which with brownfield sites that may already have hedgerows, etc., but you need to put a road in, is very hard to achieve because you're going to now put housing where there used to be warehouses. And so you need more ingress and egress. And that means that you can't achieve the planning targets. So I absolutely agree with you that we need to build social housing, although there is not, as you've pointed out many times, a paucity of housing across the country. There certainly is in local areas. But they make it really hard to for a private builder to build anything there and make any fucking money.
Right. So this is the point I want to talk about, as you so eloquently coined the phrase. It's those bastards with the money.
It is those bastards with the money.
So I want to talk about this bastards with the money because it is the bastards with the money who are perpetuating this myth that we must build 1.5 million more homes if we ever have to.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, why? Because the lenders and the house builders are kind of hand in glove, aren't they? It's a lovely source of new lending, and the public is all. What are we cheering for? We want more lending and more new houses. That's what we want, Alex. We want 1.5 million new house builds because that'll bring house prices down. And we want new builds and we want more mortgages to buy them. And because they're not affordable, we want bigger mortgages, bigger salary multiples, and longer periods of time. Can we please have lifelong debt for buying poor quality new houses? Please, please, please. That's what we want. That's what we're doing. That is what we as a population are doing. We are voting for people who are saying, we'll lend you more and we'll build more new houses for you to buy.
Yes.
And we've got to, and the whole reason for this live stream tonight was to try, is because I saw the panorama and the whole thing is based on this assumption of Britain hasn't built enough new homes. And the only solution to the housing crisis is that it builds more new homes.
Yeah.
No one questions it. The presenters don't question it. The journalists don't question it. The producers don't question it. It's issued as a statement of fact. Do not question it, you dumb viewer, right?
No, building new homes is going to help you.
You must believe us. Do not question us. We are the BBC. We are Panorama, in fact. Don't question us. There's no question. This is my point. It's not surprising that the millions of people who trust Panorama, and there are millions of people who will just go, oh, well, then if more houses is what we need, then that's what we should vote for.
Yeah.
We're literally at every election, like lemmings voting for whoever promises the most new houses.
No,
because we
absolutely.
think it's going to bring the dream of home ownership closer, and it's just got to stop. So, did you? I don't know if you were watching when I started covering what's just happened in London today with the emergency measures for house building in London.
Oh no, I've responded to you on X about
I
that.
saw that,
I
yeah.
mean, yes. Let me put it this way: in Cambridge, it's not 35%; it's 40%. 40%.
Let's tell everyone what you're referring to, because that number's not. It's the number of buildings they must build.
So when you're doing a development, if it is mixed use or residential, you have to build a certain number of affordable homes within that. Now, those can be homes for sale, or they can be built to rent, or they can even, in some instances, be co-living. Although, because planning is esoteric and unusual, those are regarded as sui generis, i.e. unique. So let's just talk about building for rental or for sale. You have to provide 40% in Cambridge, and currently 35% in most of London, of your homes have to be affordable. Now, what does affordable mean? All it means is that they are 20% below market value. Now, I recently worked on a piece that was happening up in Tower Hamlets, which is not the nicest area of London. And they were selling, or they tried to market, their affordable flats, 2-bed, 70 square meter flats, but they were on the ground floor surrounded by 10-story blocks. So zero light, absolutely zero sunlight, no visible skyline, which is part of planning as well, by the way. And they broke all the laws on that. And they were trying to sell those for £550,000.
What, the affordable ones?
The affordable ones. That was 20% below market value. And you go, I'm not sure that's fucking affordable in Tower Hamlets.
No.
Given that the average income in Tower Hamlets is about £33,000 a year, doesn't sound all that fucking affordable to me.
So what they're saying here is that the emergency measure is that they will lower the requirement of affordable homes. Developers must provide from 35% to about 20% for non-public land,
but honestly,
and simplify the viability of developing homes. I wonder what they mean by that.
Well,
You can hear by Alex's voice, he has personal pain from this. Personal pain.
So much pain, because the only way that you can make it viable is to build something that I regard as a fucking abomination. If any of you have watched the original Marvel Hulk movie, you'll know what I mean by the abomination. It is that beast that makes no sense. The only way you can actually make resi stack in an expensive area, unless you are building luxury flats, which are obviously not affordable because they're selling at £1 million a pop, is to build co-living spaces where you end up with a bedroom and a bathroom, and it's 24 square meters, and your sitting room, your kitchen, everything is shared with other people across your floor, your block, your entire environment.
Well, comrade, it will be good for the community.
Well, exactly. Well, I stayed in a hotel in Krakow that was built in the communist times that had one bathroom per floor. It had 12 rooms, hotel rooms, and one bathroom per floor, because that was the way you built them, comrade.
I stayed in a hotel in 2002 in Saratov in Russia.
Yep.
An experience I will never forget.
So this idea, the problem is, you could drop the affordable housing from 35% to zero. And for most affordable builds in London, it still wouldn't be enough for the developer to make it viable. But it also, scarily, wouldn't be enough for it to be affordable for a first-time buyer.
Yeah.
So either way, you're fucked.
So,
which is why I said it's like putting a plaster on an arterial wound.
Yeah, I mean, so they've said here that the mayor is working with the housing secretary, Steve Reed, who, by the way, I'll come on to that in a second, on a package of reforms to boost house building capital. So basically, they're bribing the builders to keep building with our money, with tax, not with their money. They're going to use our money a spokesperson for the Mayor of London said in an email statement. And cutting the red tape. And so this is the point. So it's the other thing Steve Reed has said on several occasions on camera that I've seen is that he's going to award himself powers to overrule planning decisions.
Yes.
He's actually said that. He's actually said that. Like, I will do what I like. I will. It's almost like he doesn't understand how the law works. And I'm not saying that it's a bad idea to give the housing secretary
Oh,
powers.
no, Charlie. No. Sorry. You've misunderstood. He's absolutely right. He can award himself powers. And actually, one of the developments I was working on in Cambridge, and this was very important, is the local council and, in fact, the county council both said no to this particular development. They said, no, you don't need to do that. You are going to disrupt our green belt. And the government, you know, those 650 MPs that we vote for, that sort of shit, the government said, we'll take you to court. And they took the council to court, local and county, took them to court. And they created a DCO. Now, do you know what a DCO is?
No, enlighten me.
It's a development consent order.
Okay.
And that is when the government says, councils, fuck you! They will build what they like. Fuck you! And the council goes, oh, all right, then you have to do it. And so in April of this year, Northeast Cambridge was allowed to go ahead with 9,000 new homes, millions of square feet of offices on the basis that a sewage plant was going to move because a DCO had been granted by the Home Secretary.
Okay.
That was April. In September, they turned round and said, oh, it costs too much. We've withdrawn funding. It's not moving. You'll have to cancel your X million square feet of new offices and lab buildings. And
so
also,
the government, the national government who took the local government to court to force them to build it, then said, actually, no, you can't.
Yeah, we can't fund it. We can't fund it centrally, and therefore it's all over.
And the court, the legal fees were paid by the taxpayer and the taxpayer.
Of course. Let's not worry about the legal fees.
This is the point. Like, this is what's killing the whole country, not just the property market.
Of course, it fucking is.
It's the bureaucracy of people just going, it doesn't matter. It's just tax. It's only taxpayer money.
Well, it's not, because every single one of the developers on the 9 plots of land that equate to 186 hectares of Northeast Cambridge, that was going to be effectively a new town. It was an entirely new district of Cambridge. And now all of them, who are many millions of pounds into design, are all fucked. So it's not just taxpayer money from
maybe
the government.
They'll sue the government.
Yeah, well, we should all go back and sue the government and ask for our money back.
So my point about this London thing is that I don't think there's anything that Sadiq Khan can do that's going to make all the house builders in London go, yeah, okay, all right, we'll start building again. Short of guaranteeing to buy everything, I wouldn't put that past them. You there, Alex? Still
Yeah.
there? So anyway, listen, this is. I think in London and the southeast, further new projects are cooked. New starts are right down to record lows, aren't they?
Yes, and this idea that there are emergency measures that are going to suddenly kickstart house building, absolute rubbish. Not a chance in hell.
I mean, I'm just surprised that the mandatory measures didn't work because they were mandatory.
You mean the mandatory ones that I can tell you to fuck off over? Yeah,
that's right. This is a mandatory house building target. Oh, we've missed it this year. Oh, then next year's is double. It's a mandatory target next year. We've doubled it. That's what happened in Liverpool, right?
Charlie, will you spank me if I don't get there? That's how mandatory it is. It's a Friday evening after a couple of bottles of wine with the girlfriend. It's mandatory. You have to swallow.
It's not even 9 o'clock.
Oh, isn't it? Oh shit! Sorry, mate. Ever since I saw the S21 thing, I must admit I opened the wine quite early.
Yeah. Well, that's the Renters' Rights Bill. I mean, I think there are too many separate gathering storms that are going to converge on 2026.
Oh, it's going to be horrible.
It's going to be absolutely awful. And the Section 21 Renters' Rights, the Renters' Rights Bill, which had good intentions, there are some better protections needed for tenants against bad landlords, but that could have been fixed by enforcing the old rules, not building new rules. But of course,
exactly.
bureaucrats don't like enforcing old rules. They don't make any money from that. They need to be employed by creating new rules and taking years and years and years to do it. Oh, we're working on it. Decades working on it. I can tell you that from within the industry, even the lawyers, right, never mind the estate agents, never mind the landlords, never mind the tenants, even the lawyers who specialize in it are confused about right? In the real world, it's impossible to overstate the chaos and confusion this is going to cause.
Well, it's going to utterly fuck me because I honestly, my landlord is 84 years old. And so I absolutely expect him to issue an S21 at some point over the next probably somewhere between 4 and 6 months before they make it law. He will issue an S21 because he wants to get out. You know, he's 84. His kids are not interested in taking on his rental properties. And so he will want to get out. He'll want to sell. He's made some money.
He's missed the boat. It's too late.
No, he hasn't missed the boat.
No, he has, because by the time it got to court to evict you, it'll be too late.
Doesn't matter. As long as you serve it by 4:30 p.m. on the day that it's actually ordered, which is in 2 to 6 months, your S21 is still a legal document.
No, you're missing the point, right? When they implement the Renters' Rights Bill, it's going to revert everything. All the AST terms from Paul, gone.
No. Not if he serves an S21. Sorry. There has to be, the royal decree has gone through. That's fine, but there will now be a separate piece of legislation which will actually implement everything, and that is going to take probably, I said 2, but probably 4 to 6 months. So
we're expecting it end of Q2, so around about May, June next year.
If he serves an S21 any time before that, he can continue that action through.
You may be right. I think you're wrong, but never mind.
No, well, I did something that I have looked up quite closely, and
but hang on a second. These things haven't been finalized yet. This is the point. There's still. I mean, I know that there's no more changes to the. Anyway, we're getting into the weeds here.
Yeah.
But you know, and the other thing today, amazing piece of news that I saw today. I say it's amazing. It's not amazing. It's just because it's the first thing I've seen that verifies what you and I thought all along, which is I've never heard it called this before, but the number of pensioners selling properties is up 26% year on year. Now, that's not surprising, but it is a big jump. Your landlords, downsizers, you name it, right? A 26% jump in pensioners selling properties, which are generally larger properties. I think this implies that they are owner occupiers rather than landlords.
Yeah.
Okay. So downsizers. What does that do to the national average price if you've got this disproportionately larger number of higher end properties coming into the market? It keeps the average up.
Yeah,
and actually masks falls in the rest of the market. In fact, sorry, there's an agent in the comments here. I saw it earlier. Who says he's been an agent for 30 years. Where is he? And it's worse now than it was in 2008 already in London.
Wow.
I've lost it now.
Well, that doesn't bode well for the rental market because rents in 2008 went through the roof.
I know.
As they're going to do again. I mean, I literally, in 2008, I had just rented a place in Richmond. In 2009, the landlady turned to me and she goes, "Oh, Alex, you've been such a good tenant. I'd really like you to stay." And I went, well, I'd like to stay too. It's a lovely flat. This is perfect. And she said, well, but. I'm like, what? Sorry, what are the buts? And she goes, well, there's this American lawyer who's going to be funded by her company, and they're willing to pay 2 years in advance.
Mm-hmm.
And they're willing to pay 2 years in advance at a 30% uplift.
Right.
So if you could just give me £70,000 now, then I can let you stay for another 2 years.
Yeah.
Now, but the converse is, this is the problem, is I have my own company. Sometimes things go well, sometimes they go badly. And so the new renters' rights bill only allows you ever to pay a month. That's the most you can pay. So you can't pay in advance, which means the credit checks will check you and they'll go, if I've had a good year, yeah, fine, I'll be able to rent somewhere. But if I've had a bad year, guess what? Guess what the years are going to be like over the next couple of years? Are they going to be good or are they going to be bad?
Well, not only that, I was talking to a guy yesterday who's retired. He still does a bit of consulting here and there, but he's basically retired. He's buying a home for cash, right? So he's sold where he was living for his career. He's now moving out and buying some of the country for cash. He's currently renting, and he paid his rent for a year in advance.
Yeah, I've done that. Yeah,
right. Because he said, I can't do that again, but I haven't got an income. So what am I supposed to do? And what's going to happen, I predict, is, and it'll be very hard to prove because there'll be nothing official about it, but there will be the emergence of a black market for renting.
No, I've looked into it, Charlie, because this worried me so much because of, I literally before have been declined for a flat. And I said, look, what if I pay you 6 months in advance? And suddenly I've had the flat and I've lived here for 13 years.
I don't know. Yeah, of course that. But outside the AST,
the black market,
corporate lets are not affected.
Oh, I see, through company lets.
Yeah, there are plenty of ways around this, and you will get companies that spring up to do it on behalf of tenants, like which you described. And there'll be landlords and companies.
But how much are they going to add? 20% to the value of the rent?
They'll make it work. It'll figure out. The market always finds a way, with or without the government's consent. The market always finds a way. But listen, just back to the main topic of this video. Do you have anything to add to this thing about how solving the housing crisis does not just involve building huge numbers of new homes?
Well, we've covered the fact that actually, there isn't a massive housing shortage in total across the UK. It is only local issues. B, building houses has never proven to reduce prices. In fact, if you look at the UK, one of the stats, you could say during the 50s and 60s, we built the largest number of houses. We built 2 million social houses between the 50s and 60s, whilst we only had a population of 55 million. So in 10 years, 2 million homes for a population of 55. Now we're talking about 1.5 million homes, not all social, with a population of nearly 70 million. And house prices in that time nominally increased by 250%. Between 65 and 75, 1965, 1975, they increased by 250%. Now, to be fair, we had massive inflation in the early 70s because of the oil crisis, etc. So you go, okay, knock that on the head. In real terms, they increased by 30%. So we added 2 million houses to the stock, and the real increase was 30%. Housing is not determined by the number of houses unless you're talking ad extremis, unless we were really short or really over, like Spain, where they have a surfeit because they built so much before GFC, they had millions of free houses.
Yeah. And that's where this is why I think, people thinking about buying and or selling now, like Henry Pryor put a post up on X today, which I reshared. I'll go put it up because I just couldn't believe it. It was a report from Hamptons. Hang on a second. Where was it? I reposted it. Here we are. Hang on a second. Look at this. This is great. Another agent, this time at Hamptons, tell me that they have clients waiting for the budget before putting their houses on the market. What
is this in London, Charlie? Is this in London?
I don't know. But what are sellers thinking might be announced that would make their home more valuable after the budget? I mean, and I reply saying it can only be blind hope, because if any seller stopped and thought for one moment, they realize with almost complete certainty it's going to be worse for them.
No, the mansion tax is going to make their home much, much more expensive after the budget.
Yeah. It's genuinely sellers who are waiting and umming and ahhing and waiting. If you're upsizing, whatever, right? If you're upsizing, you're in no hurry. That's a comfortable, nice position to be in, and I wouldn't worry. But if you're selling to try and if you're trying to exit, like get your money out of your property, downsize, or just sell up, you should not be delaying at all. You really shouldn't be delaying.
Although, let's face it, Charlie, it's too late now. I mean, the budget is in 4 weeks, 5 weeks. It's too late. You're not going to sell your house in the next 5 weeks.
If I were a landlord wanting to get out, if I had one or two and I wanted to get out, I would turn around to an agent and say, with my tenant in, I don't care. Just sell it to another landlord, please. And I'm telling you now, there will be landlords listening to me saying that going, don't be ridiculous, Charlie. It's not a fire sale yet. You're going to wish you had.
Yeah.
You are going to wish you had.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree 100%.
But without knowing everything that you and I know about the bigger picture about why I'm saying that, I can see how people who've owned them for a long time, done very nicely. Oh, but I've got a good tenant in there. They've always been very good. They've paid their rent on time.
Hey, Charlie, don't be rude, because we don't know. My landlord may be watching. I would like him to feel exactly that way.
I'm sure your landlord will.
Really? You mean the guy who increased my rent by 25% 2 years ago? Because
after 10 years with no increase.
Oh, we'll see.
Isn't he quite old?
84. That's what I'm saying. I am seriously expecting an S21 to arrive.
No, because he's got a portfolio, hasn't he? He's got quite a few.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
So that's different. I'm talking about people who've got one or two.
But he's sold. I've heard that he's sold at least 3 of them.
And if I was a buyer right now, I mean, it's funny because there are buyers looking at this going, why would I buy before the budget? It's going to get cheaper, isn't it? And I don't want to pay for something and then it goes down.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't argue against that logic in certain areas of the market. But for reasons outside the property market, if I was someone wanting to buy a home to live in indefinitely, right now there are absolute bargains to be had from people who are desperate to sell before the budget.
Yeah.
And so I would get out there and get in and be settled in before whatever 2026 is going to bring us arrives. And I just don't have a good feeling about it.
I get it. Okay, Charlie.
What was Bailey talking about yesterday? Did you see Bailey's fear-mongering yesterday?
Oh, what? It's all going to collapse. It's 2008 all over again.
I mean, literally, that's what he said.
Yeah, but it's not. It's very different.
Why is he saying that?
Because he's a cunt.
Oi.
No, it's 9 now. It must be 9 now. Fuck you. It's just past 9.
This was supposed to be a serious video. Right at the start, I thought just me. I said, I'm going to be really serious and grown up and professional and try and be credible. I'm not going to get too ranty.
Then you should have just ignored me.
You can't blindside me and say you can't come on the video and then go, oh, yes, I can. I can't find it now. I can't find where.
Okay, so Bailey basically said that there were feelings like 2008.
Yes. Yeah, I saw it. It was an odd thing for him to say publicly.
Yeah, it's unusual. I agree. But when you look at how peaky everything is, and this is, to be honest, this is what I expected to happen in 2024.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's taken this long to get this far. Teddy B actually measured it 9 o'clock and 25 seconds. You see, I'm good. I am so after the watershed. It's okay.
Yeah.
But there are two things, Charlie. If you're happy and you've got the time, Jean-Marc Bordeaux, which is such a French sounding name, it almost makes me want to reach for another bottle of this French wine.
It's Jean-Marc who's in Bordeaux, I think.
I don't know, Jean-Marc Bordeaux. He is very worried about the EPCC rating. Yeah, exactly. But that is not going to be law for ages.
My opinion on them forcing EPCs on, I like government shouldn't force this. It's all part of the net zero absolute crap. It is just going to make things worse. It's just bad.
But Charlie, that leads on to, do you want to have a 5-minute rant about MMT? I can see you what you do.
I was just trying to make this video, like my idea for this video, which you have now completely fucked.
Sorry, mate.
This was going to be no. I'm very happy that you did, and I'm very, very happy. Was that it was going to be a serious video that people could share with their friends to seriously hear.
But you did look, when I saw you first, before you invited me in, I was watching you with the jumper and everything, and you looked so serious. It was like, oh, that poor fucker.
I was trying to be serious.
Being so serious.
And you came in like a fucking boulder, like rolling.
Mate, some people just want to watch everything burn.
I know.
Why so serious?
What time did you open this bottle of wine exactly?
Oh, 6.5 hours ago. That was a much earlier bottle.
You didn't warn me, did you? When you texted me or tried to ring me.
I did warn you. It says in my text. I'm pissed.
No, it doesn't. You there? Dinner next. Want me to join? Put my 2p in on MMT. Send link. That's what it says.
Oh, it was supposed to say, by the way, really hammered. But, you know.
In your head, you said it, mate. In your head, you said
it.
You sound like Dudley Moore in Arthur. It's brilliant. One of my favorite films.
But can we just do a little bit about MMT, surely?
Just a little taster. Okay, so only if you, first of all, for the people who are watching who have no idea what MMT is, and they're just first-time buyers coming here for advice on moving house and wondering whether they've got the wrong channel.
I've cracked my knuckles. I'm ready to go. Okay. Modern monetary theory is a post-Keynesian idea. Now, Keynesian was an economist. You need to look back to the war. It got implemented in the 30s, yada, yada, yada. Don't worry about him. Modern monetary theory suggests that we should not worry about our public debt. Deficit is neither here nor there because we cannot default, because we are a sovereign nation, on our own debt. All we have to do is just keep creating it. It's fine. And actually, debt is in fact credit, if you see what I mean, in that you can go and spend it. And this is a wonderful thing. There are a whole bunch of rules and regulations that you would need to read around it. And there is, Mike 13 puts it best from my perspective, the magic money tree.
Okay.
The answer is that they don't believe that tax is used in order to fund things. Tax is simply used in order to reduce inflation. So you have this setup whereby you can create money, and not money that you can spend frivolously, but money that you would invest in a country's infrastructure from the Bank of England. And you can't possibly default on that because all you have to do is print more money to cover any interest payment on it. And you get a return on investment from the infrastructure you invest in. Now, that there are bits of this theory that actually make sense. There really are, because all the money that is created by commercial banks when they lend money in fractional reserve banking is imaginary. It's magical. It's not real. And so I can see where they're coming from. I see their ethos. I get it. And to some extent, they're right in that you could invest in infrastructure with a return on investment, and actually you would be okay to overspend your budget if your budget was accepted to be what the taxpayer pays you in tax before you hit the apex of the Laffer curve. Okay, anyone who has not been exposed to the Laffer curve is a theory whereby
No, it's not a theory. It's proved.
No, it's a theory. The more, just like it's a theory of gravity, mate. Gravity exists. It's a theory.
No, we don't know. Okay, for another time, but it's not the same as gravity. Gravity, I understand that we haven't proved how it works. We know it's there. We can prove its effects. We don't know how or why it works, right? Laffer curve is basic fucking arithmetic.
No, I would.
It really fucking is.
I would err the other way.
The more expensive something gets, the less people buy it. It's that fucking simple.
But for people who are currently confused, the theory is with the Laffer curve: the more you tax people, the more money you recoup, up until a certain point. There comes a point whereby people will either be unable to pay the tax, or they will find ways to avoid the tax, or they will do illegal things just to get out of the tax. And in fact, you recoup less tax because businesses collapse and so on and so forth. So actually, there is a tax rate. Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Charlie. There is a tax rate whereby you fuck everything because you've taxed it too much. You don't just, it's not an endless, it's not a golden goose laying a golden egg. Anyway, so the point is that these MMT guys, they are very anti-austerity because they believe that you could just fund the NHS, fund welfare, fund pensions, fund everything, just keep funding, it'll be fine. So I've tried to do the maths on this, and my best calculation is, before you spook the gilt market, and gilts are where the Bank of England sells the debt and we have to pay interest on it. Now, we could default on that interest, but if we did, we would spook the global markets and our interest rates would increase massively for our debt payments. So we don't want to do that. And if you also look at what we could spend it on, they want to spend it on the NHS and green initiatives and this sort of stuff, and they don't have a very good return on investment. I'm going to be really cruel here, Charlie.
Okay.
And I apologize. I'm doing the AI thing. Investing money in the NHS and social housing only extends the lives of unproductive people.
Okay.
Therefore, the return on investment is relatively small.
Who says that? Are you reading this? Are you reading this?
No, I'm saying it. And some people will say, no, that's okay. You don't know what you're saying, because actually investing in NHS, for every pound invested, you get £3 back, because you're taking someone who would otherwise be ill and they could go working, but they fucking don't. Look at our welfare state. Look at the increase since COVID. Investing in the NHS is primarily now for old people to extend their lives, and they are not productive. So that's the cruelest thing. And I'm not saying this is good or bad. All I'm saying is this is the truth. So the MMT guys, they want no austerity. They want investment in everything. I actually think MMT could work as long as it was very, very screwed down. And by that, what I mean is, my calculations is you couldn't ever create more than 4% of the current spending. and that's about 50 billion pounds. So during QE in the
That's not very much, is it?
no, well, and that's my point.
It's not even enough to fill Rachel Reeves's black hole.
No, exactly. During the GFC, we came up with 475 billion, roughly.
Mm-hmm.
And then during COVID, we came up with another 450 billion. In total, I think our highest ever QE amount was about 895 billion, is what we had.
We printed, in other words, kind of.
Effectively, yeah. We didn't print it, but yes.
Yeah.
So the most you could come up with is about 50 billion. But let me put it to you this way. Hinkley Point C, as an old dinosaur nuclear reactor, current expectation for costs is about 34 billion, the most expensive building on Earth. But if you took 50 billion a year and you invested in it, not in the NHS, not in the welfare state, not in green energy, not in subsidies for wind farms, but only into small modular reactors and into grid upgrades, because the national grid have actually created a budget. They reckon their grid upgrades are 50 billion, I think, over the next 10 years, 5-10 years, in order to actually allow AI and science development and data centers. So I would support MMT, i.e. blowing the budget, if it only got ring-fenced and spent on SMRs and grid upgrades. But anyone who goes, there should be no austerity, everyone should be allowed to have Kentucky Fried Chicken every night and live in a 3-bedroom house, they can go fuck themselves, quite frankly.
I think what you're suggesting is like, you're saying that a measured amount of currency expansion invested in the right things would pay good returns.
If it had a return, yes. Invest only.
No one disagrees. I'm suggesting that we do that to build social houses so that the government spends less money on temporary accommodation and rents can come down. So I agree.
But social houses, I hate to tell you, I
hear what you're saying.
I love you, man.
I hear what you're saying, that there's no long-term return because they're unproductive people. But actually, that's not true. The people who are currently productive tenants, working, paying rent to a landlord, now being made homeless, now being moved into temporary accommodation, they're now being made unproductive. If they didn't have to go to temporary accommodation and could instead go into a functioning home, even if it's a social home, they keep their job, right? Yeah. Keep their job and pay social rent. That's the point. So the government isn't spending money on bed and breakfasts and hotels to house temporary accommodation. This is my point. Just to meet that section of it becomes a prevention measure rather than a cure. Okay, you catch those people when the private system spits them out. You don't put them into temporary accommodation and then homelessness, and where it just derails them. You put them into where they can remain productive.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so to me, that's not modern monetary theory. To me, the modern monetary theory is the ones who goes, you can never run out of money. That's what those guys, they are. I call them monetary flat earthers.
Yeah, well, you're not wrong.
Because the thing they say that gets me is like, it's a fallacy that our taxes are used to pay government expenses.
Oh, come on. Poor Santiago and I've let Santiago do the heavy lifting. But he and I have got an argument going on X at the moment with these, and they're so dumb, and they're so honestly. One guy retweeted something that I posted, which was very inoffensive, and went, "Oh, I've never met such a stupid cunt in the fucking world." I'm like, I'll tell you what, if you want to fucking swear with me, you cunt, I will fucking take you. I'll kick you in a cunt.
Okay, get to the point.
Sorry, I missed the point.
Okay.
I was only doing it to wind you up, Charlie.
The modern monetary theorists who don't think that the tax that I tell you, only someone who's never had to find the money to send to HMRC would say that the money doesn't go anywhere.
Okay, on a serious note, the big thing about MMT guys is they often say, well, Japan has a 250% deficit to its public, it's a 250% cheap. That is great, but look at Japan's society over the last 30 years where this has happened. Suicide rate, fertility rate, coupling, just everything about Japan has been stagnation. So what we're saying is MMT is basically the stagnation of everything, even if it's handled perfectly as it was in Japan. And it wouldn't be handled perfectly over here because our government, inflation is fast, tax is slow. And the idea behind MMT is that you use tax to control inflation. Well, you can't because it takes years. Only in Japan, where everyone pulls together and everyone obeys every law. I mean, the Japanese are a wonderful people, but their standard of living, their quality of life, their happiness has been impacted. So yes, we could do MMT here. I mean, we're more exposed to foreign markets than Japan was. It was very insular. We will end up in massive problems very quickly. But more importantly, it will fuck up our citizens. It will make life very unhappy.
This is something that I see often as a defense of modern monetary theory. People just going, "Oh, well, Professor Richard Murphy supports it."
Well, he's a cunt. Sorry.
Well, I know he is, but not everyone does. So there's some people who think that if you're a professor, you're automatically right. And then just to remind people that there are professors who disagree with other professors. So the fact that he's a professor doesn't automatically make him right. And if you think someone's right just because they're a professor, reconsider that assumption. He is a proper Marxist. He is someone who won't be challenged. As far as I'm aware, he'll never let anyone challenge him. He just sits there on his YouTube channel, sounding quite convincing on some things. He said some things that I actually agree with.
Oh, yes. He did a video recently, 8 minutes of entirely reasonable stuff, although he blamed Thatcher and what's his face? The Chancellor.
Lawson.
No, after. Osborne?
Major.
No. After.
Gordon Brown.
No, after 2010, 2012.
George Osborne.
Osborne. It was Osborne. He blamed Thatcher and Osborne for our current housing situation. And you go, are you fucking kidding me, you cunt? But aside from that, and not mentioning Blair and Brown at all, he was reasonable right up until the last 2 minutes of this 12-minute video, in which he said, well, build more houses. There's only two options. You either build more houses or you support the Ponzi. It's like building houses by itself without restricting lending. Building houses does nothing. If you don't restrict the lending multiples, people will still pay as much as they fucking can because that's the English.
And I will now put my original caption back on the screen. You borrow, we build, baby.
Exactly. You take yourselves to the fucking wall and they'll build.
That's right. They only keep building when you keep borrowing. And when you stop borrowing, they stop building because without the borrowing, they don't make any money.
Yep.
On that happy note, I have to go. Thank you very much for gate crashing this very serious and informative. Literally. He's like you crashed through the door with your bottle of wine in your hand. What's going on here? When I'm doing my most serious video I've done for a long time.
That is exactly what I did. And I'm pleased I did it because you were looking bad boring.
I tell you, people who are watching this video afterwards, not when it's live, who start off and see the first however long it was of me being all serious, are going to wonder what the hell happened. And to those of you who are wondering right that, Alex Gramwater is a very old childhood friend of mine. We were at the same school briefly when we were very small. And we remained in touch.
Briefly is still 2 years.
And Alex is very, very good at using logic and numbers to find truth, whether anyone likes it or not, including me. And it's increasingly. Do you know? I'm going to finish on this note. It's amazing how many people actually don't know how to actually add up.
No,
I'm not exaggerating. I couldn't get my head around it. The basic arithmetic that is beyond the reach of a lot of adults who are making arguments that they can only possibly be making because they haven't done the simple arithmetic is terrifying. And so there's no wonder that they're so easily taken in to borrow. Oh, how much a month? How many years? Who cares how many years? Like 30 years, 40 years? Who cares? And then wonder.
Okay, Charlie, can I give you a very good maths problem that I dealt with 5-6 years ago?
Okay.
There's a disease. Now, they asked 100 doctors this. There's a disease, and there's a test for the disease, and it's a really good test. It goes 100% positive if you have the disease. Okay? But it is only 95% accurate if you don't have the disease. So it will diagnose 5% of people as having the disease when they don't. Only 1 in 1,000 people have this disease. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's the important part. 1 in 1,000.
I got it. I'm with you.
It's got 1,000 people. What's the accuracy of predicting that you have the disease with the test? You've had the test. What's the accuracy?
Jesus, it's like strongly negative.
Isn't
it?
Yep.
Very strongly negative.
2% is the answer.
Yeah.
So if you get a positive result, the chances of you actually having the disease, because there's 1,000 people, 95% of them get tested, and 5% of them of the 1,000, 5%, 50,
I get it,
get a positive result. But only one of them actually has the disease. 2%. Do you know what 100 doctors said? It was all 100% of them. 95% accuracy.
Oh my God!
No, kid you not. It's incredible. And this goes from consultants to GPs. 100% of them said 95% accuracy. There is literally, if you were told you were positive, only 2%.
There was a 98% chance it was wrong.
Yeah, exactly that.
Unbelievable. So they got it literally polar. Yeah. And honestly, I sometimes feel when we're fighting the good fight, we're trying to fight, which is just to be true.
Sorry, Square Eyes, stroke risk and statins, 100% correct. I have had a stroke. I take statins. I also take monoclonal antibodies. You are spot on, mate. Also, if you haven't had a stroke yet, and you haven't had a carotid endarterectomy, which sounds more exciting than it is, you can't sport the scar. But if you do, I'll meet you in a pub for a glass of wine.
On that happy note, everybody, thank you very much, Alex, for fucking up my video. For everyone else, thank you for watching. Thank you to those, whatever, 500 of you are still watching. And we'll see you on the next one.